Welcome to the video lecture on course Radiation and Microwave Technique. We are going through unit number 2, that is radiating elements and arrays. This is the lecture 6th of unit number 2. In the previous lecture we have started with the array antennas and we have gone through the 2-element array and the concept of pattern multiplication. Now in this lecture we will go through the analysis of n-element array and also see the concept of broadside and the endfire array. Let's see what are the contents that will be covered in this lecture. Learning outcome: n-element array and its analysis, broadside array, endfire array. Coming to learning outcome, after completion of this lecture, students will be able to understand the n-element array of same amplitude and same phase and can do its analysis, and also understand the broadside and the endfire array and also the difference between broadside and the endfire array. So starting with the today's lecture with n-element array, consider this figure. In that you can see this 1, 2, 3, 4 up to n, they are the isotropic sources which are placed along the z-axis to form an array. So considering this array of n isotropic source, we assume that all the elements are spaced equally. You can see in the figure they all are spaced equally at the distance d, and they are fed with the currents of equal amplitude by each succeeding element has a progressive phase shift of beta denoted with beta. An array of identical elements, all of identical magnitude and each with the progressive phase, is referred to as an uniform array. The array factor can be obtained by considering the element to be point source, but if actual element is not an isotropic source, then the total field can be formed by multiplying the array factor of isotropic source by the field of single element, and it is applicable only for the array of identical elements only. Now considering the same geometry, anisotropic sources that are placed along the z-axis, as they are fed with the current of same amplitude, the field magnitudes are also equal. So if E1 is the field radiated by isotropic source E1, field generated by the isotropic source 2 up to nth isotropic source, which is equal to E0. The total phase difference denoted with psi 1 equal to psi 2 equal to psi. We have considered it equal to psi, where this psi is equal to kd cos theta plus beta, where this beta is the initial phase difference, whereas k is equal to 2 pi by lambda. Now what we are doing is, we are considering origin as a reference point. This first isotropic source which is at origin, we are considering it as a reference point. The total electric field at large distance in the direction theta is given as E equal to E0 e raised to 0 j psi plus E0 e raised to j psi plus E0 e raised to 2 j psi plus so on up to plus E0 e raised to jn minus 1 psi. You can see over here the phase is increasing uniformly, and you can see in the figure E0 is the amplitude which we have considered to be same. Now if I remove E0 common, I will get this equation number 2. You can see it seems to be a progressive geometric series. While writing this equation, source 1 is assumed as the reference field from source 2, 3, 4, etc. and they are leading in phase with respect to the reference by angle psi, 2 psi, 3 psi, etc. respectively. Multiplying with e raised to j psi, we get e into e raised to j psi equal to E0 into e raised to j psi plus e raised to 2 j psi plus e raised to 3 j psi plus so on up to e raised to j psi n. Now subtracting this equation number 3 from equation number 2, we will get E1 minus e raised to j psi equal to E naught 1 minus e raised to j psi n. Or if we bring this to this side, E becomes, that is the electric field, equal to E naught 1 minus e raised to j psi n upon 1 minus e raised to j psi. Now if we bring this e raised to n psi by 2 common, we get this equation, E equal to E naught into e raised to j psi n by 2 into e raised to minus j psi n by 2 minus e raised to j psi n by 2 divided by e raised to j psi by 2 into e raised to minus j psi by 2 minus e raised to j psi by 2. As we know, e raised to minus j theta minus e raised to j theta is equal to minus 2 j sin theta. So after substituting, we get E equal to E naught e raised to j psi n minus 1 by 2 into sin n psi by 2 divided by sin psi by 2. So this becomes E equal to E naught sin n psi by 2 divided by sin psi by 2 at the angle n minus 1 psi by 2. If the reference point is shifted to the center of array, what will happen? This angle will become approximately equal to 0. So E equal to E naught sin n psi by 2 divided by sin psi by 2 at an angle of 0. For small values of psi, this E equal to E naught sin n psi by 2 divided by psi by 2 is the electric field. Coming to the array factor of anisotropic sources, it is given as sin n psi by 2 divided by sin psi by 2. So now we will calculate the normalized array factor. Before that, we will calculate the normalized electric field, which is given as E divided by E max. So to calculate E max, now with psi equal to 0, the equation of E, you can see over here, the equation of E, that becomes independent, and hence the L'Hospital rule, it can be applied to evaluate the function. So according to this rule, the numerator and the denominator, they can be differentiated separately under the limit which is psi tending to 0. So over here, by applying the L'Hospital rule, calculated the E max, and it is equal to n E naught. So to calculate the normalized electric field, putting the value of E and E max, we get normalized electric field as 1 upon n sin n psi by 2 divided by sin psi by 2. Now the normalized array factor is equal to the normalized electric field, which is 1 upon n sin n psi by 2 divided by sin psi by 2. In this way, we have calculated the electric field and the array factor of anisotropic element array. Now we will move to the broadside array and the endfire array. In many of the applications, it is desirable to have the maximum radiation of an array that is directed normal to the axis of the array. So now, a broadside array is the array which has maximum radiation in the normal to axis of array. That is, if there is any array of antenna which is along the z direction, then it will have the maximum radiation in the other direction except the z direction. Basically, it will have maximum radiation at theta equal to 90 degrees or 270 degrees, which are normal to the z axis. The first maximum, it occurs when psi is tending to 0. So psi equal to, we know it is k into d into cos theta plus beta, which we are evaluating it to 0. So since it is desired to have first maxima that is directed towards theta not equal to 90 degrees, so if we put theta equal to 90, we know what is cos theta. Cos theta is cos 90 we know cos 90 is 0. So our equation becomes beta equal to 0. Thus, to have the maximum of array factor of uniform linear array directed broadside to the axis of the array, it is necessary that all the elements have the same phase excitation. Now, as I said, consider this figure in which you can see there is the direction in which the array is placed is the z direction, and you can see there is maxima at 90 degrees and 270 degrees. Now, the separation between the elements can be of any value. To ensure that there are no principal maxima in the other directions, which are referred to as the grating lobes, the separation between this d naught must not be equal to n lambda, where n is equal to 1, 2, 3 and so on, and whenever the beta is equal to 0. And if d is equal to n lambda, n equal to 1, 2, 3 and beta equal to 0, then you can see there will be the maximas in the undesired direction. To avoid any such grating lobes, the largest spacing between the element, it should be less than 1 lambda. That is, d max must be less than lambda. Consider this case in which the d is lambda by 4, and this is the other case in which d is the multiple of lambda, that is d is equal to lambda. So as the elements they are placed along the z axis, the array elements are in the z axis, we must have maximas in 90 degrees and 270 degrees. But you can see over here, whenever this rule is not followed, that is when d is equal to n lambda, what happens? We can see the maximas in the undesired direction, that is we can see the directivity in the z direction also. These are the equations of finding out the null, maxima, half power points, minor lobe maxima, first null beam width, half power beam width and first side lobe beam width. Following these formulas, we can find out all these values and we can plot the radiation pattern. Now coming to the end fire array, we will see what is end fire array. So instead of having the maximum radiation broadside to the axis of the array, it may be desirable to direct it along the axis of the array. So end fire array is one which has maximum radiation along the axis of array, that is along theta equal to 0 degree or 180 degrees. To direct the first maximum towards theta not equal to 0 degrees, we know the equation of psi is equal to kd cos theta plus beta. We will evaluate this at theta equal to 0. So putting the value of theta equal to 0, cos theta we know it is 1 and psi is tending to 0. The equation becomes kd plus beta equal to 0, that is beta equal to minus kd. So now moving to direct the maximum towards theta not equal to 180 degrees. So putting the value of theta equal to 180 degrees in the equation of psi, we know cos 180 is minus 1. The equation becomes minus kd plus beta equal to 0, that is beta equal to kd. So thus the end fire radiation, it is accomplished when the beta is minus kd or beta is equal to kd. Sometimes we might want the radiations to be only in one of the either direction. So by this values of beta, that is the phase, we can get the radiation in that particular direction, that is 0 degrees or 180 degrees. Now whenever the spacing is multiple of n lambda, we get to see the radiation in undesirable direction. So to avoid the grating lobes, the spacing between the elements in the end fire array, it must be less than lambda by 2. That is, the d max must be less than lambda by 2. So consider this first case in which theta is equal to 0 degrees and the spacing, that is d, is equal to lambda by 4, and this is the radiation pattern for theta equal to 180 degrees. So you can see you are getting the radiation maximum in the minus z direction. From both the figures we can say the end fire array is the array which has radiation pattern along the axis of the array. These are the equations to find the null maxima, half power point, minor lobe maxima, first null beam width, half power beam width and the first side lobe beam width. Using these formulas we can plot the radiation pattern and calculate the FNBW and HPBW of end fire array. In this lecture we started with the n element array. We calculated the electric field and the array factor of n element array. Then we moved on to the two cases, that is broadside array and the end fire array. In that we saw that broadside array are the arrays that have maximum radiation along the normal to the axis of array, whereas the end fire array is the array which has maximum radiation along the axis of array. While to avoid the grating lobes in both the cases, for broadside array the maximum spacing must be less than lambda, and for the end fire array the maximum spacing must be less than lambda by 2. Hope you have understood this. Thank you.